It's rare in a post-Saving Private Ryan world that a film dealing with war can shock you. We've become so desensitized now to seeing cinematic depictions of military engagements that we've come to expect certain aspects to play out in a particular way, with slow-motion shots, sweeping scores, and impactful but predictable action beats. This is not the case for Warfare. Garland and Ray Mandoza deliver an unflinching, gritty, and realistic look at a real-life engagement that happened during the Iraq War in 2006. With a level of intensity that was so gripping that it felt like I was watching real-life documentary footage, more so than a film. Not to mention the superb sound design, which helped to create a moment that was more effective than any jump scare, and constantly enveloped you in the middle of what's happening on screen in a way that I don't think other war films have. Saving Private Ryan created a chaotic and iconic opening scene on Omaha Beach, but it nonetheless felt cinematic with the unique signature style of Steven Spielberg's movies. Warfare felt even more stripped back, bare and basic than Zero Dark 30 or Paul Greengrass's forgotten, albeit flawed, Green Zone, which also depicted the Iraq War. But Warfare is different, with a dedication to realism that draws you in and doesn't at any point hold your hand with the narrative or break your immersion. You are in it with these men through it all, with a matter-of-fact style that simply depicts what's happening as efficiently as possible, much like the soldiers in it. What Warfare does so well is it does not just depict the action moments you expect, but the stillness, the waiting, the sit down and see of actual military engagements. It's in the expectant silence of ratcheting tension that you experience alongside the platoon the film's focus is locked onto. The film is also devoid of any of the typical hero shots and moments or aching emotional score that other cinematic depictions of military conflicts tend to lean into, sharing many similarities stylistically to Garland's previous film Civil War, though a lot more focused narratively than that movie. Speaking of narrative, let's do a quick plot summary. Warfare follows a squad the morning after a nighttime raid which saw them take over a family home. They are offering surveillance as part of a wider military operation in the area, noting down and reporting the movements of any fighting-age men, sightings of weapons, observers, and any sign that those same men are massing to get ready for a potential attack. The platoon have a clear camaraderie between them as they sit in the stillness before combat, cutting the tension with glances and jokes while simultaneously focusing on the job at hand, feeling as if one missed move, order, or observation could be the difference between life and death. Things slowly ratchet up as military-aged males begin congregating together in buildings across the street, some peeking directly at them whilst having phone conversations. What becomes quickly apparent though is that they've been compromised, beginning a desperate fight for survival as casualties are taken and they find themselves surrounded and alone against a larger group. Calling in for assistance from nearby forces, they must hold their position as enemies close in on them. But will their superiors risk sending more men into danger? And even if they do, will those reinforcements make it on time to save them? There are events that happen on later on in the film that I don't want to spoil, including a very impactful moment I'll talk about in a bit. But the narrative does the job and creates the foundations for what really makes this film stand out. I've said it already, but it's worth saying again. The dedication to realism in this film is unlike anything else I've seen. Everything you see and hear feels grounded and believable. So much so that it feels like it must have come from someone who is actually there. And wouldn't you know, co-director and co-writer Ray Mandoza actually was there in this specific conflict during the Iraq War in 2006. The clear effort of those in front of and behind the camera is apparent, with Mandoza working closely with Garland to deliver dialogue, combat, movement and tactics that were as close to reality as possible. It all makes it there on screen and pays off in a big way. I can only imagine how harrowing this would be for actual combat veterans to watch. Music is such a big part of most films' emotional centre, and is something I connect deeply with. But there is almost no musical score to speak of here. Instead, its absence is not missed as it serves to highlight what for me was the best thing about this film, the impeccable sound design. Incoming fire, comms chatter, bullet impacts, the use of silence or muffled sound in key moments, all of it adds to the immersive soundscape. At one point, there's an explosion that comes with no build-up, setup or warning that is so loud and intense it made me jump in my seat more so than any cheap jump scare, which added to the unexpected nature and chaos of the conflict, making you feel that no one is safe at any time and anything could happen in this frantic and intense situation. You feel the vulnerability of this pressured platoon's predicament, and you truly have no idea how things are going to end up. Refreshingly, there are no distractingly big stars in this cast. They all deliver solid performances that are grounded and believable, with the most notable names being Joseph Quinn and Will Poulter, who also dissolve into their roles with a depiction that feels very close to real life. You see how different people and personalities react to being put right in the middle of a highly stressful situation. Who cracks, who perseveres, against insurmountable odds, demonstrating heroism, bravery and grit to save themselves, but also their fellow man. Impressively, this entire film was made on a tiny $20 million budget, truly showing what can be achieved by dedicated professionals who are masters of their craft with a focus on delivering a specific vision and story. It's galling when you consider the inflated budgets of Disney's horrendous output over the last few years. Can you believe this cost 15 times more than Warfare? Insanity. This film is a wonderful example of a simple premise in one location done on a small budget with everyone in front and behind the camera delivering an impeccable example of what can be achieved when everyone involved is a master of their craft. Staying true to the grounded nature of its presentation, the narrative doesn't neatly conclude. There's a sense in which nothing was truly gained by the end, and the harrowing memories of those survived will be the biggest lasting impact on the wider conflict. A point punctuated by the end credits, in which we see the actors alongside their real-world counterparts, driving home the real-life heroes who took part in presumably what was simply one of many intense, brutal, frantic skirmishes in Iraq. It cannot be overstated how well executed this film is, and it leaves a lasting impact even at a tight 95 minutes. Do yourself a favour and go see it at your local cinema on the biggest screen and sound system you can find, and support movies like this. You won't regret it, and you won't forget it anytime soon either. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.